Well, hey there. I hope you're having an amazing, amazing day. And it's just been a little crazy. I've been traveling, and it's funny because the title of today's live is "There's Always a Way," and for whatever bizarre reason, and shouts out and love to Facebook, I was disconnected from my this personal fan page. I haven't been able to run ads, even though I spend several thousand a month, and now I can't do Facebook Lives to this page from my phone. So using some new settings, going live from my laptop, and hey, there's always a way. So I just want to talk to you specifically if you're juggling a lot of work and life and business, and you're sometimes overwhelmed. I don't know if you get that way and you're thinking, can I really have a job and build a business, or can I build a business and have a life, or can I build a business and have a job and have a life, right? And I've been there and I get it. And I just wanted to impart a few pieces of wisdom today with you. And this one is dedicated to Devin from Ottawa. I ran into her at the airport yesterday in Nashville, and she said, Susan, I secretly watch these lives at work. I work for the government and I secretly watch them, and you give me so much inspiration. So hopefully these lives are inspiring for you. So let's just jump right into it. First and foremost, it's interesting when we set a goal for ourselves, and often when that happens, we get a challenge. And can you relate to that? You've set a goal at one point and you're like, oh my gosh, suddenly the challenges come and you think, yes, this is gonna be the time that I'm gonna achieve whatever it is. I'm gonna achieve the better body. I'm gonna achieve the next level of finances. I'm gonna achieve this life that I so desperately want to create. And then suddenly out of left field, things come at you, and in the face of challenge, and I said this once on stage in front of 20,000 people in Las Vegas, in the face of challenge, we can either choose to give up or get better. And you are an achiever. You tune into this page every single week, some of you every single day. You're not someone who's going to give up. And I'm preparing right now a training. I'm leaving. I got back late last night from Nashville. I have 24 hours on the ground, and then I'm going to Toronto tomorrow. And I'm preparing a training, and it's all on personal mastery and that concept of how we don't give up. And one example I'm using are the Navy SEALs. And the Navy SEALs have something called Hell Week. And, if you can only imagine during that time, and I know people who've gone through this, you nearly drown and you're exhausted. And, I can't, physically imagine. Yes, I've done the Ironman with a fractured pelvis. That was probably one of the most challenging things I've ever done. But what they do is they have a bell. And at any point, someone in Hell Week, they can ring the bell and they're done. Anytime during the training, in fact, all of the Navy SEAL training, not just Hell Week. And, in our lives, there's always an out for us. So we set a goal and we're going to take our business to the next level, or we're going to have a juicy relationship or whatever it is. But how often do we find ourselves ringing that bell and saying, you know what, I just give up. I'm going to settle. You are not made to settle. You are made to thrive. And the reality is, you are not going to get your goals. You're going to get your standards. And if one of your standards is there is always a way, you will find a way. And I want to share with you just a quick story around that. So, many years ago, it was actually in the year 2000, I had been diagnosed with progressive multiple sclerosis. And one of my first thoughts was, oh my gosh, I've always wanted to come top 10 in the pro division of the Ironman triathlon, which is a 2.2 mile swim. It's oh my gosh, I have to think in kilometers, miles. So a 2.2 mile swim, 56-mile bike, and a 26.2-mile run. I think I got that right. Anyway, so there I am. The doctor's like, Susan, you're going to be in a wheelchair in 10 years. You're going to be dead in 20. And I was devastated. I had a little girl at the time. I had some very well-known celebrity clients. I was on radio and television. And that was one of my first thoughts. I haven't done this race. And so I was a sponsored athlete, and I had a coach, and I did not tell my coach. I didn't tell my agent that I was sick, and I just proceeded to train. And in my mind, I kept thinking, I want to come top 10. Well, I head off to go do a race, and I'm so sick. I almost drowned, and they have to pull me. It's a triathlon in Muskoka, Ontario, Canada. They have to pull me out of the water. I'm in Louisiana racing, and I had to think about where I was, and I collapsed on the course. I'm in Alabama doing the Power Man, which is no joke. It's a pretty intense race, and I'm out there running in the front. The cameras are there from ESPN, and I collapsed there. And, and the doubt started to creep in. Susan, you're sick. You need to ring the bell. You need to stop doing triathlon. You're never going to come top 10 in the Ironman. You have progressive MS. Your body's breaking down. All that chatter. Can you relate to that? The chatter that happens. And so, I really had to stay strong. And so by the fall, I was training for Ironman Florida, and, I had all the sponsorship deals and it was all looking good. And I was riding my bike in the city of Toronto, and I suddenly got this massive pain in my back, and I physically couldn't ride the bike. My leg just wouldn't turn the pedal. And I got off the bike and I called Chris, who's now my husband, was then my boyfriend. And I'm like, can you come get me? I cannot physically bike. So he comes to get me. And, so I couldn't go into Ironman Florida. And I was like, oh man, am I ever going to do this? But there was this still small voice that kept telling me, Susan, there's always a way. There's always a way. There's always a way. So fast forward time, I decided to go to Ironman Malaysia, and it's January and 2001, and I'm getting ready to go to do the race. And it was my last training day. And that morning I went to the pool at University of Toronto. I did a 2-hour swim workout. Then I went out. Now it's Canada, January. Okay. So then I go out and I do a 3-hour run, and I've got a 5-hour trainer ride on my bike. And so I had this white trainer. My bike is on there. I used to call it Porter Pete. I was sponsored by a bike company called Porter. It was custom for me. It had maple leaves all over it. Really cool. So there I am, and I'm on Porter Pete, and I'm biking 4 hours, 45 minutes. And suddenly I start to feel myself sliding forward. And I went sliding right into the television, and I blacked out, and my feet were cleated in the pedals, and I slammed down like that. And I wake up, and there's Chris standing over me, and I said to him, the very first thing I said, don't call the ambulance because they'll tell me I can't race. And I was supposed to leave in literally 3 days. And, this voice in my head is going, don't go, your Ironman dreams are over. And then there's this other voice that's like, there's always a way, always a way. And I know in my heart, that was the voice of God, right? It's like, there's always a way. So I fly off to Malaysia. I'm in so much discomfort. I fly from Toronto to Chicago, Chicago to Seoul, Korea, South Korea, then from Seoul to Kuala Lumpur, and then to Langkawi Island. And I'm on the plane, and I'm flying from Kuala Lumpur to Langkawi, and the guys from Triathlete magazine are there, and they're like, who's this Susan Sly? And they're like, oh, she's top 5 in the Dan and Duathlon series in North America. She's an up-and-coming pro. She's going to be really good. How do you think she's going to do? And the guy goes, I don't know, because Natasha Badman showed up. Now, Natasha at that time was the #1 triathlete in the world. So you've got Natasha there, and they're like, this woman's there, this woman's there. And it would be like the Academy Awards of triathlon, because all the best women actually showed up for this race. And so I get there, unpack my bike, go to register, and then I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go on a training ride. And meanwhile, I'm in so much pain, right? And I go to get on my bike, and I can't even sit down. It's so that painful. It was like someone was stabbing me in the pelvis. And I start crying. But keep in mind, the still small voice is like, there's always a way. There's always a way. So I'm crying my eyes out on the curb. Imagine I've got Porter Pete there. And this guy's like from Germany is like, what's wrong? And I said, I can't sit on my bike. I'm in so much pain. He said, listen, a group of us are going to the Sheraton tonight for dinner. Why don't you come with us? I don't even know you, but why don't you come? I'll cheer you up. So I was like, the little voice goes, go. And I'm like, okay. So off I go. And we're sitting in this beautiful open area, all these chairs in a circle. And I go to gingerly sit down, because even sitting is really painful. And there's an open chair beside me. And the guy goes, the guy who invited me, he said, that's for a friend of mine. He's from America. And I said, okay, cool. And so in comes the guy. He sits down, and we start a conversation. And I said, so what do you do? He said, I'm an ER doctor from Denver. And I just started to get teary. And I told him that I had fallen off my bike. I had a hematoma in my pelvis the size of a grapefruit. I couldn't sit on my bike. He said, listen, Susan, I brought my kit with me. And he said, I can freeze your pelvis. And I have enough stuff. We can freeze it for an hour. And if that works, we will get the stuff and freeze it for 5 hours. He said, you're going to come out of the swim in about an hour. You'll have 4 of the 5 hours on the bike where you will, be frozen, and then it's going to come out. And so, long story short, he ended up freezing my pelvis. And it was a horribly hot day. A third of the field didn't finish. All my tires went flat, but I came 8th in the pro division of the Ironman a year into the MS diagnosis. And I wanted to tell this story today. It was on my heart because some of you want to ring the bell. You're giving up on your dreams, your dream to become a 6-figure entrepreneur, multiple 6, a millionaire. You're giving up on that dream. And you have to stop that still small voice. Allow that voice to germinate and to grow like the faith of a mustard seed, and just grow and know there's always a way. If I can do top 10 finish in a pro division of an Ironman with some of the best female competitors in the world, where a third of the field doesn't finish with a fractured pelvis, what can you accomplish? Today, 15 years ago, I made a bold decision to actually start a home-based business. And, over the course of time, I've had people criticize me. I've lost friendships. I've had people who told me I was an idiot. All these different things that have happened to me. But 15 years in, I knew there was always a way. And one of my greatest accomplishments is in that journey, I've helped 38 people become millionaires, including one of my high school girlfriends. I have completely transformed my own physical health. I've become a different person. I went from someone who was angry and disappointed in life to someone who sees possibilities. I've, created a beautiful family with my husband, Chris. And that's all because I keep knowing in my heart there is always a way. So hopefully today has been inspiring for you. The very fact I'm doing this live off my laptop, it shows there is always a way. I also want to invite you personally to 2 events I'm doing. So if you're in New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania, Ontario, on September 8th, I am doing an Empowered Women Unite event with the beautiful Lisa DeMay and Kathy Savage. All 3 of us are self-made millionaire women. It's going to be incredible. Angela Maresca is hosting, and it's empoweredwomenunite.com. September 29th, here in Phoenix, I have people flying in from Alaska and Michigan, everywhere. I'm doing an event called Sales Nirvana. And what Sales Nirvana is really the neurology of selling. And I'm a certified NLP coach. And really, it's how do we create those deeper connections? And whether you're in real estate, direct sales, digital marketing, or a health practitioner, how do you relate to people at a different level? I'm going to teach you really cool stuff like where to place a screen if you want to sell more, like things like that. How to use words that shift people's neurology. And then Emmy award-winning actor Riel Andrews, who used to be Taggart on General Hospital, he's coming in to teach video secrets. So, when you're doing videos like this, how do you present yourself in a different light? It's going to be an amazing day. So that's salesnirvana.com. I would love to connect with you. I have a weekly newsletter I send out, and it's really about that mindset stuff. Super quick hacks. Today's was all about vulnerability. You can go to susansly.com, sign up for that. And in that one, I really, give my readers just, journeys into my personal life. And if you love that stuff and mindset, then I would love to work with you there. If this live has been great, I'd love for you to like and comment it. I'd love for you to share it with anyone that you know and care about. I read all of your comments. So thank you guys for being here. God bless. I love you. And I will see you next week. Bye, everyone.